because as I'm going through the different interactions between the prosecuting attorney, the defense attorney, the witnesses, and you come up with creative ways, humor, illustrations. It's like, I can use this. And all of a sudden, my public speaking, I started getting asked a lot because I became a better public speaker as a result of that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about how Dr. Habermas, that approach he took with you of bringing you back to what you knew was true, had good reasons to believe was true. And so it sounds like everything hinges on the resurrection. And that's kind of what we want to get to with you, and thinking about how we talk about Christianity with our kids, how we present it to them. What we present to them are some of the real basic things that are fundamental to it. But is that so after that interaction, is that when you thought, okay, now my ministry is really going to be focused on the resurrection? Because you were talking to people, you were evangelizing, you were doing things. And just now I know the ending point with Mike. So I'm thinking, is that when, for you, did that kind of clarify, this is something I want to get good at or get really a lot of knowledge in so that I can help other Christians, be a better witness for Christ? What was did that help kind of clarify even your career or in where you wanted to go?
That's a good question, and certainly better than the ones that Brett has asked so far.
Well, that's why I have her on the podcast.
Actually, it didn't. It just made me more comfortable with my faith at that point. But I was, when I started in apologetics, I was more interested in the science stuff, to be honest with you. And the historical stuff, I wasn't that interested in. I guess I started to get interested in resurrection. It would have been 1997. And I was lecturing on it to an adult Sunday school class at my church. I'd gone through a couple of weeks of different things on apologetics, and I came to the last part, and that was on the resurrection. And, you guys speak in front of people. You know when you're connecting with the crowd. You know when you're not connecting. And I was not connecting.
I've never had that experience.
Well, that's good. That's really good.
Wow.
Tell me more about it.
So it's like, I was so discouraged afterward. And I remember riding home after church, and my wife said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I'm just a loser." I said, I wasn't connecting with these people. I was boring. And I just gave them dry facts. And it's like, this is the resurrection of Jesus. This should be exciting stuff. And she says, well, I don't know, why don't you just video record you giving a lecture and make that available to people? I said, why? So they can be even more bored watching me on video than in person? And she said, well, why don't you make a movie or something? I said, a movie? I have no... How am I going to make a movie? And that's money. Money. And it's like, well, why don't you write a script to something and just start on something? So I thought, you know what? I could do that. I don't know if it'd ever get anywhere. So I got home after lunch, and I got thinking, what could I do for a movie? If I were going to do a movie or write a book, a book. So I thought, why don't I do something like, with the Scopes trial, but instead do it with the resurrection? Something that ended up being like you found in God Is Not Dead, Part 2. Only this was 1997, a few decades before that movie came out. And so I thought, I'll do that. I'll have a professor who's teaching a class on religion. Student says something about resurrection. Well, if resurrection happened, what's that mean about other religions? Is it false? Yes. And the student complains, the professor gets fired, and then the professor takes the school to court. And so I end up like doing this. And I self-published a book. It was called Cross-Examined in 1998.
No way.
Years before Frank came out with that name for his ministry. So Frank still hasn't paid me for that name yet. But
He owes you.
That guy is slimy.
Oh
I mean,
my
let's
gosh.
don't tell him we said this. But, no, that's incredible.
yeah, the only people here, just us.
Just us in this room.
And whatever, thousands of people, but they won't tell him.
No, nobody will.
No,
say
don't
anything to
tell Frank you said that. Okay. Yeah. So the really good part about that book, it only sold like 2,000 copies. I mean, but I did it when I was lecturing, self-published and everything, and it got made into a church play that was done down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And D. James Kennedy's right-hand man came to that. This was like 2004. Came to it. We sat next and he said, "Man, Mike, this needs to be made into a movie."
No way.
Yeah. So I ran it by a couple of places. Nobody was interested in it. But the good part about that book was that it really made me think creatively on how to share the evidence for the resurrection in an entertaining manner. Because as I'm going through the different interactions between the prosecuting attorney, the defense attorney, the witnesses, and you come up with creative ways, humor, illustrations. It's like, I can use this. And all of a sudden, my public speaking, I started getting asked a lot because I became a better public speaker as a result of that.
Yeah.
And that's what got me interested, really interested in the resurrection of Jesus. Because I remember as I'm going through these things, I'm trying to think as the defense attorney. Yeah, the defense attorney would be the school, for representing the school, actually, right? Because the professor is suing the school. I'm trying to think like the defense attorney. How can I poke holes in this case for the resurrection of Jesus? And I'm really trying to do it. And I'm trying to come up with better things than what I'm used to hearing. And then I start to doubt. Hey, Gary, Doc, how would you answer this? And I'd call him, and it's like, so I really wrestled through it. And it really helped me take my knowledge of the resurrection to the next step. Now, I'll throw in one more thing. Then the year 2000 came along, and there was going to be this mock court in Virginia Beach at Regent University in the law school. And they brought in some people. Jay Sekulow was involved in this, and they brought some others in. And it was like presenting the case for the resurrection before the court. And they asked me to do the brief for it. So I did all this research, more research to come up with a case for the resurrection. And that formed a lot of what's in this book.
Yeah. And so for those who are watching on the YouTube channel, you can see the cover here, but Mike co-authored a book with Gary Habermas, who we've been talking about, called The Case for the Resurrection of Jesus. And this is a great book. It's we'd say it's a really accessible book. I mean, you guys tried to pitch this at a level that you're
even a Southern Baptist could understand.
Ouch.
Well,
Mike.
there goes the 3 Southern Baptists who are listening anyway.
Yeah, I worked for them for 7 years. I mean, I'm entitled to joke like that.
Absolutely. I grew up in a Southern Baptist church.
Okay.
And I've got a whole lot, I just got a whole lot of Southern Baptist jokes that I
I
just
know,
want
I was-
to,
nope.
but okay. Aaron will check that. But no, The Case for the Resurrection of Jesus is a great book. This is a book that anytime I will do like a popular level talk for students on the resurrection, I put your and Gary's faces up and point them to this as the resource to get. This is the one resource I give to audiences to say, hey, okay, start here, and this will give you plenty of lay out the evidence in a clear way that will give you confidence for your own views, but also give you the kind of tools you need to engage the skeptics. So
Have you played the game in the back?
I have not. So there is a DVD or a compact disc, a CD in the back here, and I have not ever played the game.
Oh, you're kidding. Okay, so unfortunately, it's for PC only. It won't work on a Mac.
Oh, maybe that's why I've never played.
We had a company that I think that this game, it's a game, and it takes this book, it raises the bar to a level that wasn't there previous. I don't think another book has met the bar of this for a lay level book as like a self-study course. We had a company that made tank simulators. They were a defense contractor. They made it for the Department of Defense, tank simulators. And I spoke at a church up in Northern Virginia. And this guy comes up and he says, I really like the idea, because I had this idea about making a program to help you master the information in the book. He said, I'd like to volunteer our company to do that for you. They put in over $250,000 worth of labor to create that game.
What?
It is a simulated television game show with an animated game show host who's hilarious. And it will help you master the information in the book.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's fun. It is a fun game to play.
But it only works on a PC.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, so we're gonna have to hunt down a PC.
In
I
fact,
don't know if I even have friends who have PCs anymore.
that company did so well that it was done on, I think, Macromedia Director is how they created it. And in order to get it approved, you actually had to send it off to Macromedia to get their permission at the end. So we had to do that. And they were like, we didn't know our program would do this.
Oh wow! So this would be.
That's how
I mean,
good
so
they
this is
were.
a great tool for parents.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you've got this interactive thing. Okay, we got to figure out, Mike, how to get this online.
I know. I don't know how to do it.
There's got to be a way, Micah. Let's look into that. There's got to be a way
Micah, you have
that we
homework.
could put this tool online so that when someone buys the book, they don't. I mean,
Yeah, 'cause
CDs.
They're out.
Yeah, I mean, no
don't
one
even
uses.
know
I
how
mean,
we play it.
we throw CDs at each other now, but I don't. So anyway, we gotta let's figure that out. We gotta bring Mike in.
That's pretty funny. I've had 5-year-olds play it, and they'll just sit there, play it, and laugh because I'm not going to give anything away because of what the game is, but it's fun.
Okay.
It's fun to play. If you take too long to answer, the game show host gets on you, and we'll do all kinds of
Well,
stuff.
I'm glad you mentioned that kids can play it too, because wow,
Yeah.
5-year-old.